Getting this show on the road. What is up, people? It is Stick, aka Clueless Vino, aka Clueless Creative, and I'm about to do something that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and that is create my all-time favorite anime tier list. Basically, I've watched a lot of anime over the years. I've since, I was a kid, and you know, I feel like now is the perfect time to kind of rearrange and kind of finalize what my order is. As far as tier ranking goes, like putting them in order is gonna be tough. I'll still try to do it here. Um, but it's gonna be a little difficult just because there are a lot of great anime. And I'm very indecisive, basically. There's 55 on here. Basically, I'm gonna rank them based off the S through F tier. So S being goated like all time. I think I could watch these at any time, and I'll never get tired of these. A just means they were really good. All the way down to like D. I would say C is like average. B is like it was good. Probably some flaws in there. May watch over again just for for some research purposes. Um, the C is solid. I may give it a. I'll need a reason to rewatch it. D is uh it's a highly unlikely that I'll rewatch it again, and or they did something that is unforgivable. And F is means I'm never watching that again. Just because, you know, for whatever reason, man. But yeah, here it is. I might get up for some drink later. Got some drink. This is also for Annie man. This is May 2024. So, anime, I encourage anybody to, if you've never watched anime or if you're a big anime fan, that this is the perfect month to just overload on anime, man. Yeah, I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's get right to it. I'll kind of try to explain stuff as much as I can, kind of why they went to the into the tier that they did. But let's get right to it. I might jump around. You see the order here, but I might jump around. It's 91 days. 91 days is I watched this for the first time last year. Me and the homie were just picking random animes, to watch during the year, and I think she suggested this one, or maybe it might have been me. I don't actually remember, but I'd seen this a few times. Kind of got a vibe that it's going to be uh, more storytelling heavy-esque than anything. I'm gonna be honest, man. I watched this and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Like they really grip you in on the first episode of two, and then you're just watching to see when everything's gonna kind of implode. I would say this is one of those anime where I came in with like low expectations and it clearly exceeded what I actually thought was gonna happen. So for that, I gotta put this A tier for me. I think it's that good. Like I would go back and watch this today, right now, if I wanted to. I do plan on rewatching this at some point. Um, I think it's one of those ones where, like I said, it's character driven, story driven, and even though you know the plot going forward on your rewatch, still one of those things where you can rewatch over and over and kind of just catch something new. And I like anime like that. So definitely A tier for that. Just to let you know, I had ranked these before. This was like months ago. So now I'm kind of in a different spot, mainly because one, I feel differently about some. I kind of have a criteria that I'm trying to follow. And, you know, it's on the fly. It's on the fly. So let's see how this actually goes. Kami got killed. Okay, the action in Kami got killed is really good. It's your typical story of like, big group of people, badasses who are they're tough, man. They got a lot of different powers, and you kind of want everyone to succeed. And I don't know why I thought that that was going to happen because for whatever reason, I went in very blind. I went in very naive, thinking that everybody was going to survive this, and that is not. what happens. Spoiler alert. I am a big spoiler guy, so my bad. A lot of these are good. A lot of these are going to be based off that first watch and how I felt during the first watch and stuff like that. So for me, I don't know, man. I gotta put this in C tier, and that's not a indictment on the actual show. But I could potentially see it moving up to B. Bleach. I'm about to ruffle some feathers. Bleach, one of the big three. Iconic anime. You can't take that away from it. I think it pushed a lot of in the 2000s and like later 2000s, 2010s that you can point to a certain anime that kind of pushed anime into the popular mainstream. I think say Bleach is one of them. One thing I like about Bleach more than anything is the fact that it does cliffhangers at the end of episodes probably better than 99% of anime. Like if a Bleach episode ends, the way it ends, you always want to watch another episode. Like if you're binging, it's kind of hard to stop. You know what I'm saying? So that it definitely does that better than most anime. I will say that it is one of the things that turned me off to Bleach is just the filler. And I can accept filler if it's funny. I can accept filler if it is entertaining. Even if it's like a filler arc, if it's entertaining, then I can probably get with it. The thing about Bleach is it takes you out of like high intense situations. So like you're following or chasing the baddie, and all of a sudden you're like thrown into something totally different. And so Ichigo's one of the best main characters. I think Bleach has one of the best cast of characters that you can find in anime. Uh, so I want to make this clear that this is my list. This is my list, and I think that Bleach is a good show. And I think if I go back and actually rewatch it from beginning to end to where we are now, or not beginning, but like beginning to where we are now, I think I'll probably like it more than when I actually like it today. But for me, I'm going to put it in C tier, but in head of a Akame ga Kill. Angel Beats. We used to have a group. I used to be a part of a group called Just Started Watching Anime. I didn't just start watching anime. The homie just started watching anime. So that's just what we called the group. We were kind of the experienced people that kind of guided her through it. I forgot who suggested Angel Beats, but I remember watching it and I remember being really upset. I remember really upset, man, because I wasn't sure what the point of the show was. My mic has been over here the entire time, so I hope you heard me. Um, I wasn't sure what the show was supposed to be about. Great concept of the whole afterlife being in the school scenario. I love that, but I couldn't figure out where they were trying to take me until you get to those later episodes. And then once you get into those later episodes, you kind of get to feel like, okay, I see where this is more of like um, it's almost kind of like a purgatory. Like they're not really in heaven or hell. It's just like that middle part, and you're trying to determine where they're going. I like anime like that. We'll find another one that's kind of very similar. I think it does a little bit better. Um, but I will say, after watching Angel Beats the first time, and then I got to like dwell on it and kind of think about, wow, some of the themes and some of the things that they did per episode. Like I like that at the end of the ending credits, they would change the characters who like would be a part of the group, and you would see people fall off, people who not be a part of it. Um, it's good. It's looking back, it's a really good show, and so for that, I'm gonna put it in the B tier, man. I thought it was that good. Like at the time, I had it probably C, possibly in D. Um, but yeah, the more I think about it, the more I love what this show did, and as far as like the storytelling aspects of it. Baki the Grappler, circa the early 2000s version. If you ever remember getting DVDs, yeah, DVDs, not Blu-ray, just DVDs. You remember getting DVDs in the early 2000s? Before the menu popped up, there was like the previews and stuff. I used to watch the previews for Baki all the time, and it would just be that opening where he was taking like 200 kids at once, just fighting them all off at in like the streets or whatever. And I thought that was so dope. And so I was so enthralled by that. I got the box set right off rip. I was like, let me just get the box set. Let me see what this is hitting for. Um, Baki is an interesting character, man. He's a tough kid. He's a brawler. He's a fighter. Like normal situations, you would be like he's one of these upper echelon fighter guys. I think what bothered me in this iteration the most is that he cried a lot. And listen, there's nothing wrong with crying, obviously. I think it's important that letting some tears off is a good thing, man. You don't want to build up any like frustration, emotions and stuff, and then like kind of boil over. So I understand that. However, he was crying a lot. And like anime characters that cry a lot, especially the main character, I'm like, you're doing the most right here, buddy. Um, but obviously his dad is one of the most infamous like antagonists that there is, especially today with the new versions that have popped up over the years, especially the most recent one. Um, Watching him basically killed. Yeah, no, not basically. He killed Baki's mom with like a backbreaker, basically. Uh, um, yeah, you kind of want to see that man get his ass beat. So the story is minimal, but it's definitely easy to comprehend. Um, so I got Baki probably C tier as well, the 2000 version. I've not watched the new one yet, but I do have it above Akame I Kill, but right after Bleach for now. If you're wondering, it's Toki today. Um, I'm not gonna bounce around yet. I'm gonna go Black Lagoon. Black Lagoon, great show. Love Black Lagoon. It's up there for me. If you've ever watched the series, you know that it's about pirates, but a modern version of pirates. You're not catching the R bullshit that they normally do, but it's, no eye patch, something like that. But it's just we're selling, we're doing dirty work for like on the seas, man, and helping some less than reputable people, but for this world, it is what it is, right? I think Revy is one of the greatest gunslingers there is. I think that Revy is one of the best characters, this woman characters in anime. I think Revy is she's not necessarily complex, but her character is deep, if that kind of makes sense. I think she's the main character. I know Rock is technically the main character, but their dynamic is interesting because you can tell there's that tension there, but they don't really push too much onto it. Great set aside characters. Roberta is a badass. The fighting nuns are crazy. They have some good villains in here. It's a good show, man. I think it's one of those ones where they gets underrated over time. I think, yeah, it's one of those ones that I wish people would talk about more. I wouldn't say necessarily needs a reboot, but I just wish people would talk about it more. So I got Black Lagoon. Is it above 91 days? Yes, for now. Is it though? Because I would watch 91 days right now, the full thing before I watch because Black Lagoon's a little bit longer in as far as episode count. But would I watch it? How did I feel? I'm gonna keep Black Lagoon there. Because I think the way I felt about Black Lagoon is probably higher than 91 Days at its peak. Okay. Burst Angel, right? So around when I was probably like a teenager, probably in high school, likely. You got your iPod. You can go on iTunes and buy stuff all the time. Well, I used to buy anime videos and play them on my iPod, for like trips and shit. Well, Burst Angel was one of the ones that I bought, and when I was a teenager, I thought this was a very cool show. There's a mech involved, there's some guns involved, some decent fight scenes for the time. but let's also keep it a buck. It was a group of girls who were not necessarily dressed in the most clothes, and I was a teenager. So it's one of those things where it's like when I went back and watched it for the group that I was in, I quickly realized, oh, this is not a good anime. It's just it's not really. It's not a great anime. I think people who like it for a specific reason. And I'm not gonna tell you, figure out what that reason is for you. I can't confirm that. There are some good episodes here that I like personally. I think Joe's a great character. I think Joe and Meg's connection is pretty cool. But there's a lot of things in this anime that are done for no reason, and there are a lot of things in the anime that don't make any sense. And I can't do anything. I just can't, in good consciousness, put it anywhere higher than F. I feel terrible because it's one of those animes from my childhood that you know, it gave me some type of, not comfort, but like I was expanding my anime range when I first got this. And so watching it as an adult, I was like, not the greatest choice here, right? This is Keenan that's next, right? Yes, I'm leaning all into that. Keenan, it's crazy. It's very similar to Burst Angel without like the for sexual innuendo stuff that's going on here. Clones and fights and gunshot and gun shooting and kind of a sister type vibe with the creations. Uh, Not too much on this. This is one I randomly picked up. I think this was the YouTube when I was buying stuff off YouTube anime, which is crazy to think about now. I gotta put this in D tier. It's better than Burst Angel, but not necessarily it's nothing. I would say it's not anything special. It's just not something I'll watch again. You know. Now, this one should be no surprise. I'm wearing a Cowboy Bebop shirt. This is an S tier anime. Ask anybody that knows me, and they will tell you that Cowboy Bebop is my favorite anime of all time. Like I'm gonna no spoiler alert. This is gonna be the one that's in front on S tier. It's just is it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. If you were thinking that this is gonna be a surprise at the end, no. This is gonna be this is a masterpiece, man. 25 years later, 25 years, yeah, 25 years later. Just you can pick this up right now and just go watch it, and it's so timely. It's classic. It's you can watch this in any era. I first watched Cowboy Bebop in 2015, which is so far from when I should have actually watched it. It was one of those ones where it's not inaccessible to like younger viewers, but it's like you won't appreciate it until like you're a certain age, I think. Like you can watch it as an 18-year-old, you can watch it as a 15-year-old, but I think when you like right in your mid 20s, you kind of went through life a few times and had different things happen to you. Some of the things that you see in the show and the things you're supposed to feel, they hit harder at that time. Like as I've gotten older, a lot of the things have just they've struck a different chord in me. I even wrote a whole, you know, not poetry book, but like a free verse poetry book about the show called Easy Come, Easy Go. Go check that out. It's somewhere, go Amazon, go get that. But yeah, Cowboy Bebop, number one. It's not even a question. Goated. Goated. Am I gonna jump around yet? Nope. Dragon Ball Z. So, like most people, Dragon Ball Z is or was one of my first anime that I ever encountered. This is gonna be an interesting one because if we go by just a metric of how did I like it as far as when it compares to these other anime, you could argue that it's somewhere in low B or even C. There are a lot of flaws in Dragon Ball Z. If you're talking about like comparing like stories and character development and these important elements that I hold dear when I watch anime, right? But the nostalgia and its importance can't be overstated. A lot of people wouldn't even know what anime is or even dive into anime if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Z, if it wasn't for Goku, if it wasn't for Akira Toriyama. These important figures of the show and about and part of the show, um, you had kids, doing the spirit bomb Kamehameha on the playground. You know, uh, a lot of us fell in love with the bad guy turned to the good guy element because of Vegeta, and Piccolo, to an extent. We watched Gohan grow up from being the whiny kid to being that super that well, he was a superhero, but that's not the part we talk about. We watched him grow up to defeat Cell, man. We were all proud of that moment. um and you remember where you were at certain large points and important points in the show. Like I remember where I was in my grandma's sunroom watching Goku turn Super Saiyan. You remember where you were when you first saw the Broly movie, and different stuff like that, man. So you know, Goku is part of the Macy's Day Thanksgiving parade. So it's the importance can't be understated. So with all that said, combining all those different elements that I enjoy about things, I'm gonna firmly put it into B tier, but ahead of Angel Beats. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the Frieza saga all time iconic. Cell's probably the best saga. Majin Buu gets a lot of flack, that saga, just because people thought it was a lot of unnecessary elements in there. Um, but y'all also put Super Saiyan 3 as the best Super Saiyan transformation. So you gotta love it for something. Not personally for me. I always say Goku's is first. Then I have Gohan second and third. Honestly, Dragon Ball GTs is probably up there too. Um, but I didn't put Dragon Ball. Also, yeah, I didn't put Dragon Ball GT on here, and I almost try to conclude all of Dragon Ball as far as this section. But Super's not on here because I haven't been diving into Super as much. GT's not on here because it's a complex and complicated situation to even put that on here. Um, yeah, and Dragon Ball again, that's another one where it's like you kind of want to make sure you want to watch the whole thing. I got a lot of elements from Dragon Ball, but it's one of those things. So I did Dragon Ball Z because that's the one I grew up with the most. Let's jump around. Now this one says Durara. I think I'm saying that right. I was hooked on this show like crazy for like when it was on Toonami, and it's crazy because I watched it. You know what I'm saying? I watched it and I was into the whole thing, but I can't tell you anything about this show. I can't tell you anything about the show. I just know that it was interesting to watch and the characters were good and there was a mystery behind everything, but I think I was too young to kind of appreciate it. I probably was I don't even remember when Durarara actually came out on Toonami, but it was definitely either in high school where I wasn't paying attention as much and the other I was still like in the shonen mainly, or I was in college and it was one of those things where it's like if it's Saturday night, you know where I'm gonna be at, bro. It's like, come on, like I'm out and about. So, and I didn't have like anything to record it. So I'm gonna put it in C tier and probably put it in the back just because mainly because I haven't watched it fully. Dead Man Wonderland. Oh man, such a disappointing adaptation. The story itself of Dead Man Wonderland is a great one. If you've ever checked out the manga or the manga, uh, it's much better than what the anime gave us. And the anime gave us for those first half episodes, probably the first half of the season of that one season we got, good stuff. Sets up this big mystery, like who is the red egg, you know what I'm saying? Um, the powers are dope. I like the blood powers that they have. A lot of the characters are cool, but then it just goes off the rails so fast. Like it's like riding, it's literally like riding a roller coaster and you go down this one thing, you go up the hill and you're like, oh, this is great. You go down the hill and then you realize there's no tracks at the end and you're just flying in the air. And it comes to an abrupt end that's just not satisfying, man. It's not even close, bro. I have to put this in the D tier. Like I have to. I don't want to. I feel bad that I have to. But it's just not. It doesn't hold up, man. It just doesn't hold up. Let's go to Food Wars next because this is another one where I started kind of early. Um, it's one of those ones I haven't necessarily finished. I'm not even deep into the show. I just know that it's a wild show. It's one of those ones that definitely, if you, it grabs you from episode one. I'll say that. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch a cooking anime. It's interesting. It's so interesting because like some of the stuff you can actually make if you use some of the concepts that they use in the show. It's just, you know, it can be a lot. And I wanted to sit down and actually give it a honest try, but it's also an anime that I can't just watch at any time. 'Cause I have two kids around and I don't feel like explaining things. So for that, I'm gonna put it in the C tier, probably ahead of Durara for now. IGPX. If you've ever watched Toonami had their first original anime was IGPX. Basically, it's a show about rate. It's like it combines NASCAR and mecha. Basically, I don't like NASCAR. I typically don't like mecha anime, if we're being honest. But there was something about this that just it gave off good vibes. Michelle Rodriguez before she became very controversial. Um, voiced Liz, which I thought was great call. You know, you had the main character who was, he was the golden boy, but he had to overcome that hump. They had 2 seasons, solid 2 seasons. You can kind of see I like what they did with second season because it was like the first season they won the championship, and you're like, how can you actually make this better? They brought a new team on the block that was basically, you know, not necessarily cheating, but they were doing some underhanded shit, and they had the team's number, and so it was interesting to watch them kind of navigate that. Um, Not higher than anything than a C tier, but I would probably watchability. I'd probably have it between Baki and Akame got killed. Not Let's get Pokemon out the way too. Pokemon, another iconic anime, great show. I don't know anyone who doesn't know the Poke Rap at this point. I don't know anybody who doesn't hear that opening chord of the theme song who doesn't immediately sing the entire song. Like it's just one of those things. The thing about Pokemon though is for a lot of us, Pokemon is more about the game than it is the anime. I love Pokemon. I did love Pokemon anime. I watched it. Oh, and who can forget Pokemon the movie, bro? Watching Pikachu lose and try to save Ash after Ash thought he was the strongest man in the world and was going to fight a Mewtwo. What was wilding. Um, but I think for me, I'm more of a Pokemon the game guy versus Pokemon the anime guy. So I can't go higher than C again. Mm, yeah, so behind Food Wars, in between Durara. Let's get back on track. Death Note. Death Note is Death Note's kind of goated, bro. The thing about Death Note is that you have to for a lot of people it comes down to one or two things. It's do you like anime that doesn't have action, that doesn't have like traditional action fight and stuff like that? And then do you like the anime post L versus Light? That's really what this boils down to, right? For me, that first half, I can't remember that episode count, but L versus Light is probably some of the best anime uh storytelling, back and forth, cat and mouse that you'll ever see in any anime. It's so interesting because you're really looking like, yo, how is he gonna get out of this mess? How is he gonna catch, bruh? It's just back and forth. Great, great storytelling. And then you get to the conclusion of that arc or whatever. And a lot of people just do not like the second half. For me, is the second half better than the first half? Absolutely not. Is near L? Not really. He's not. But you kind of get it's really about passing the torch to the next generation, right? You know, L couldn't necessarily pick a successor because his successor got split into two. You know, Nier has the intellectual uh makings and quirks of an L, but Mello had the I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get the job done. So instead of trying to be like, you're gonna be guy, you're gonna be guy, he just let him be like, y'all figure it out. L is sick like that. He just is, you know. I think Death Note kind of flipped its head on what a protagonist is and what an antagonist is because a lot of people will tell you L is technically the protagonist of the story. We follow him the most, and the antagonist is L. He's trying to stop him. Nier is an antagonist. So it's such a great story, man. Good cast of characters. Some very dark moments in the show. I'll never forget the episode where, Light makes that undercover police officer's wife, you know, do what she has to do uh before she can actually figure out who he is. It's a dark show, but it's such a good show. So for that, I gotta go. I think I have to go there, bro. I really do. I thought it was gonna be A tier, and I might change it, but yeah, it's got to be S tier for right now, man. For right now. Death Parade. Hey, oh, but see, here's the thing. I think Death Parade is really really good. It's a show. Basically, again, we're talking about purgatory, but in this one, you're playing a game to basically to decide where you're going. Are you going to reincarnation or are you going to the void? And the way they do it based off like a bar and how like people basically had to come to grips with themselves via a game and like their memories get flooded back and then like the whole background of the other characters that we meet and how they fit into this thing and how, you know, her story kind of dictates these arbiters of fate. You know, it's such an interesting show. I enjoy Death Parade probably as much as Death Note, but I don't have it as goated. It's just it's a great show. I'm gonna put it in the A tier behind 91 Days. And I think I feel comfortable with that, honestly. I think I feel comfortable with that. Yeah. DNA Angel. That's an F tier. That is the worst anime I've ever watched in my entire life. Oh, you want more? Fine. I didn't understand the plot. I didn't understand a lot of things going on. This anime, I believe, is 24 to 26 episodes. I can't remember specifically. The first 13 episodes were pointless. There was no point for these first. I 13 might be, it might be right. The first half of the show was so pointless. This could have been a 13 episode anime, and then the oh my God, the plot that we were heading towards that they kind of told you this is what we need to do to solve our problem got solved at episode like 17 or 18 or I guess late in the anime. And then you had to ask yourself, wait, what is the rest of this anime about? And then you get a whole nother thing, and it's like, bro, the music is probably the highlight of the show because everything else about this show is absolutely horrendous. I've never been more upset. Yeah, I've never been more upset about watching an anime in my life. This was horrendous. Elfen Lied. So as younger me, again, one of those things where it's like you hear about the show so much, you buy the box set. I'm a box set guy. I don't want to do the whole single episode thing. Let's just get the whole set so I can binge watch the whole thing. That's what you had to do before you had streaming, Crunchyroll, all that jazz. So as a kid, you watching it and you like. the gore is really the selling point. And that first episode is that opening scene is probably one of the most gruesome opening scenes you'll ever find in an anime, bar none. The story is so all over the place, and that's kind of what has driven it down for me. I used to have this like in my top seven all time, and uh, after thinking about it, and I haven't rewatched it in a long time, I will say that. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this anime isn't. It's really, it's really dependent on the gore. Like if you're like into gore, then it's like, oh, this is a great show. But like other than that, it's just like, it's what else? And then like the whole like cousins thing, we don't even talk about that. You feel me? So I can't go higher than a C anymore, man. And it's crazy. This would have been based off how I usually do things, it would have been goaded, maybe A, but I don't even want to put it in the B. Like I don't even want to Sully in there. Ergo Proxy. This is one of those ones that's uh the animation, one of the best I've seen. I love the whole gothic dystopian type of vibe like that, and it's the way that it's done is beautiful. Probably one of the better, animations you're gonna see as far as like that combination. This is also a show though that it's you really have to pay attention what's going on because if you don't, you will be confused. Like you will be so confused. Like it's one of those. Um, it's a good show though. I would like to rewatch it as an adult. Not an adult, but like older now. Like I feel like I would focus a little bit better. It's a high C tier for right now. Higher C tier. I would probably put it before Elf and Lee for now. Probably ahead of IGPX too, though. The Brotherhood's goated. Let's be honest. I think it's ahead of Death Note at this point. I think. Listen, if Full Metal Alchemist was good, Brotherhood kind of took it to a whole nother level to me. I don't have Full Metal Alchemist on my list here, but I just feel like Brotherhood and those again an amazing cast of characters. I love what they do with Homunculi. I love Colonel Mustang. But Colonel Mustang's Revenge is one of the best episodes you'll see. He goes crazy on Buddy, um, on them, and yeah, it's such a good show. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I think that's kind of another thing, and another anime is gonna be like that I'm gonna bring up later that definitely fits that mold. But yeah, it's definitely in the go to category. You just can't, for me. A Gunslinger Girl, it's an interesting show. It's not a bad show, but it is one of those ones that I feel like you have to be in a certain mind state and you have to be looking for a certain vibe. And I got it because it was about little girls who were shooting guns. I thought that was just an interesting concept. Again, during the iPod buying days. But it is one of those ones I may have to go back and look at because I don't remember. There was so many different other branching stories because it was an orphanage with a bunch of girls and they all had different stories. And so for me, I need more time to go back and check that out. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Gangsta, yeah. I watched Gangsta for the first time last year. Again, me and the homie would just suggest an anime, and we just say, you know what, let's watch Gangsta. I've heard so much about Gangsta, and I just remember people being like, man, this anime is good. They would always bring it up like, oh, it's a good anime. I'm like, all right, cool, and we're good. This is probably the most upset I've been at an anime, but this is the most upset I've been at an anime that was good, unlike D and Angel. The reason I don't like Gangsta is because Gangsta had interesting concepts. Gangsta had great like kind of like a system that they had built in. They had inclusion with a deaf character. Shout out to You'll notice I don't have characters memorized like that, but you know who I'm talking about. Um, they had a good, like I said, good set of side characters, and then they just blue ball you so hard, bro. Like things start to pick up in those last 2 to 3 episodes. Like business picks up, and then you just find out later that you're never getting a season two. Like the whole studio just bankrupt, bro. And it's so disappointing. Like you're never getting I'm not getting that time back. You know? I can't get that time back. When people ask me what's an anime that deserves a remake or reboot or rematch or whatever, this is high on my list because I'm like, I need to know how this was supposed to end. Like characters that we never got to see fight were about to get active, and we'll never know how it ends. I gotta put an S here, bro. I've never been more upset at something. Now I'm gonna put it in the front. Actually, let me rearrange that. When I put it in the front, I mean it's the best of the worst. So I'm gonna put Gangsta in the front because that's the best of the worst. The Rah Rah here, and then yes, uh, D and Angel last, which means I'm gonna put Dead Man Wonderland ahead. Sorry, I'm gonna put Dead Man Wonderland ahead of Kanan as well in the D tier. Hell's Paradise, new anime, just came out last year, 2023. I was hooked immediately. I think the characters are gonna be great. What I like about this show too is now that I'm older and I understand that I shouldn't get connected to characters as much. Instantly, I was like, oh, too many characters. People dying in this one. Oh, didn't even take that long. 2 to 3 episodes in, people that you thought were gonna be here for the long run, they are gone, dipped already. Um, Gabi Mario, I think is gonna be a great main character. He's kind of one note right now, but I feel like in seasons this next season, there's gonna be growth. Um, so I am excited. So I'm tempering the expectations so far. I am gonna put it in the B tier. I will put it behind Dragon Ball Z for now. I do think it will be above it at some point, but for now I'm just gonna go B tier. Hunter x Hunter. This is another one that I watched very late compared to everyone else. Hunter x Hunter is created by the same people, by the same man that created Yu Yu Hakusho. Togashi, creator of Yu Yu Hakusho, also created, Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter at its best is a really, really good show. Like a really, really, really good show. Um, I just think, in my opinion, people have kind of overstated Hunter x Hunter's perfection, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is there are 6 story arcs in the anime, right? And they are, there's the Hunter exam, Heaven's Arena, Phantom Troop, or York New, Greed Island, Chimera and arc, and the election arc, right? Everybody puts the Chimera arc. I think it's a really good arc. I think that it's way too long. I think there's too much narration and too much exposition, like explaining to me what's going on when I don't necessarily need that. Like there are episodes where like half the episode was just the narrator telling me stuff. And I'm like, that's cool, but like I feel like that's doing a lot. Um, could have been shorter. I think at its peak, the York New Phantom Troop arc is the best one, and it's not even close. It's not even remotely close. Um, but yeah, like that Chimera Ant arc is 61 episodes. 61. That's way it was way too much. The Greed Island arc, great concept. I think the using the video game as kind of the vehicle for a arc, I think it was brilliant. But I hated that arc. It was too much back and forth. It was something was off about that arc, and I can't ever put it. into words. Um, it's crazy enough. I like the Killer arc at the end where he's protecting his younger sister. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I like that arc because I think that just kind of explained like Kill's character a little bit better too. But yeah, for me, Hunter x Hunter is probably a very high B tier because as much as people want to say that it's perfection, like from beginning to end, it's like the greatest thing that ever told. I think there are flaws within some of the arcs. I still like if you're asking me, yo, will you watch the Phantom Troop arc over again? Absolutely. Like immediately. Would you watch the Chimera Ant arc again? Yeah, but I would pick the episodes I want to skip for sure. Um, but great cast of characters. The other thing I don't like about Hunter x Hunter, and it's my biggest gripe of all of them, is that you see those four characters on this opening screen, and then after a certain point, only two of them matter. Kurapika should have been part of the show. I understand, you know, direction, creative direction. I understand that, but Kurapika should have been a part of the show from very beginning to end. There's Chimera happens the entire time, and Kurapika is just nowhere to be seen. He just seems to be like a necessary person to be part of this whole thing, but he's just not. He's doing his own thing. I know he's got his own revenge tour, which is exactly why I wish that would have been shown in the anime. I don't know, bro brought a shovel to a fight, and that he will always have my respect. Inuyasha. We've all woken up at 2 a.m. and heard that song, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's one of those things. I think Inuyasha is long. I think Inuyasha is a classic in the sense that it's iconic and it's that when you see him, you know who it is. A great time period feudal anime. And it's a good romance anime. If you're looking for romance, it's a great anime. And I think that's one of the ones you got to put up there. However, I gotta put it in the C tier, I think. I think it's C tier. I'm gonna put that. It's probably ahead of Baki. It's ahead of Ergo Proxy. That's a great question. Because you know what I do? I did like the Bandit era, the Band of Seven, the Band of Seven. I like that group. That arc was pretty cool. I might have IGPX over Baki too. Now I feel comfortable. Is that Jujutsu Kaisen? Oh yeah. Not even gonna hold you. I know that we're just a couple seasons in, a movie in. I know that it might be a little bit too early to say it. Hey, dog. It's in the S tier for me, bro. I anticipate watching Jujutsu Kaisen every time it comes out. Like it's not. There's never a time where I'm not excited for it to come out. It's that good. This past arc, man, the Shibuya incident, it was nuts. What I like about Jujutsu Kaisen 2 is it's not afraid to just screw over your favorite character. Like it's just not afraid. Like they know what your power is and they're just like, yeah, we don't care. Um, Nothing sicker than watching the opening credits for which they have great music, by the way, amazing music. Watching over the credits for the first season and watching Junpei being in the opening just to find out, oh no, he's not surviving anything. Actually, we've been lying to you this entire time. The show, this is a sick show, bro. Strong characters, great characters. Again, but nobody is safe. I like that about this show. So I'm firmly confident it being S tier. And yes, right now it is in the spot that it should be. Kakaishi. I don't know if anybody's ever watched Kakaishi. It's one of those ones where, you know, uh I think it was on Toonami. I watched it for the first half and then it just stopped airing or I stopped watching or something happened. And it took me a while until I got a streaming service. I think it was Funimation that I got it, that I finished the show. Mm. And after finishing it, I was satisfied. Solid. I think it's one of the ones where I think if someone asked me, "Hey, suggest me an anime that I've never heard of, or that you think is that someone should watch because it's underrated," I would put it there. It's a C tier, but it's one of those ones where I would be like, "Hey, watch this. It's not that bad, man." I'm gonna put it ahead of Food Wars, behind Akame Got Killed. Skip around again. Let's pull up Samurai 7. Samurai 7. Based off, the last, it's based off the Magnificent Seven, Seven Samurai. It's very classic. It's homage to those type of films. Um, yeah, it's another one of those ones where like going in, you're like, ooh, okay. I love these characters. I fall in love with a certain character, and then I find out that it's just they can't all survive. It's not plausible. Um, I I can't remember why I didn't finish it. I think it was another one where it was like on Toonami, and then it just stopped showing, and I missed out on seeing the end. I do plan on going to watch it eventually. It's another one I can't realistically put anywhere higher than C. So in between Elf and Lee and Akame I Kill. Mainly because the Akame I Kill, when they killed characters off, it was way worse. Like it was just you got pissed when they were killing people off because it was just disgusting. Samurai 7, like they went out with honor and shit, but yeah, I feel comfortable putting it here. All right, so Ninja Kamui is a new anime that came out this year. It was on HBO Max. Did come out. I think it did come out on Toonami. I can't remember. I think it did. Not sure. Not what's it called Adult Swim is what I meant. Um, Started off so fire. Like this show, I was like, this could be high A tier, maybe S tier if it continues on the path it was going. Because I at first I was like, I don't know if I'm into it, but then like that first episode, like, oh my gosh, and the second episode was like, oh, they getting active, and then this anime takes one of the weirdest turns that you're ever gonna see by adding like technology and like mech to the ninja stuff. And it just seems so unnecessary. Like they're trying to tell me a story about corrupt businesses and corrupt companies and how power absolutely corrupts. And listen, we've seen the story, and a lot of shows have done well with this type of, message, but this was not like I'm on the last episode of the season. They can't make another one. I don't think it's built for another season, but like they fumbled hard, bro. Like this should have been an A. I really can't go higher than a C. But this should have been somewhere up here, bro. Like really should have been here. At minimum, should have been B. I can't. I gotta put it at C. I guess it's better than no, no. I gotta put it even behind Pokemon. Like it's back here, bro. Like I wanted to love that show. And I'm gonna finish it, but it's just like I'm like I said, I'm on the last episode, but yeah, it fell off hard. Um, let's do Naruto. So I did combine Naruto and Naruto Shippuden together, mainly because you really can't. It's really just a continuation. Like it's legit a continuation. What I'm saying, of the Naruto story. Like it's not even like a. I don't even know why they did it that way. An amazing cast of characters, an amazing story, a beautiful story, a bunch of branching off stories that kind of come together as things are going on. One of the big three, probably the most important of the big three. I'm sorry. Shout out to the One Piece fans. I know not on this list because I just refuse to watch One Piece, and it's not it is what it is. We can talk about that another day. But I think Naruto's probably the most important big three member there is, and I'm gonna put it in the B tier because I think even it's it can get filler heavy depending on if you don't know when to step out of the filler. But it's also the fight scenes are crazy. Like, oh my God, it's some of the best fight scenes you'll find. Because we were so used to Dragon Ball Z ones where, it's just fast punching. So like it's the animation is like what you call it. Naruto is very choreographed, very dope. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go B tier. I'm gonna go B tier. And again, this is for me. I'm gonna put it behind Hell's Paradise. Sorry. But I again, as far as importance, it's up there. If this was an important list, it'd be S tier, probably. Michiko and Hachin. I love Michiko and Hachin. I love the story. I love the relationship between Michiko and her makeshift daughter and the story that they go on. Each episode is very contained within itself, but also pushes the story forward. Um, Rewatched it recently, um, and still love it. I still love it. Michiko is such a badass character, bro. She's not badass in the sense, like she's like a fighter, like she's really tough. She's tough, but she's not tough, and she's been put through a lot, or she put herself through a lot, and she just always comes out on the other side of it. And I think that's so important. It's just a different version of showing like a tough character. It's an A tier for me. Uh, yeah, probably behind Death Parade, but it's probably neck and neck. Honestly, Kill the Kill, that's another A tier. Probably Kill la Kill is probably in between Death Parade and 91 Days. Again, I think Kill la Kill, Death Parade, and Michiko Hatchin could switch at any time. So like it's one of those things where it's like it could be whatever. Uh yeah, yeah. Great show, great animation. I love I love what they did with that show. I love the the concept's crazy. So like midway through the show, when you find out like what the actual show's about, it's kind of jarring. But once you get past that, the show is still fire. Um, Great main character, great side characters. The villains are pretty dope. For the most part. Yeah, it's just a solid, really good show. It's up there, great show actually. So A tier for sure. My Hero Academia gets a lot of flack, a lot of hate. I don't know why. I really think it's one of the better shows that's come out over the years. Mm, I will say it has to go into B tier though. I can't comfortably put it into A tier right now. It's good though. It's really good. Like I said, I could see after this season 7 and then how it concludes, it could probably be end up being A tier. I'm gonna put it behind Naruto for now, but I could see it moving up for me personally. Mob Psycho is goated. Yeah, it's goated. Um, hey, bro, listen. Again, we're not talking about best. We're talking about my favorite. And I had a blast watching Mob grow up because that's what the show's about, man. This show kind of hits home for me because I always thought middle school was kind of the hardest like school period for me. And watching Mob go through that as someone who's kind of extraordinary, right? Extraordinary, the powers, but still having that like anxiety and working through that and find out who he truly is was just a beautiful story. I know a lot of people had like were kind of indifferent to like the first half of season 3, the final season, because it wasn't as action heavy as the first two. But if you're paying attention, that wasn't what this season or that episode or the show was supposed to be about. It's about Mob finally coming to grips with who he is as a person, and being able to take that next step of being confident. And I just thought that was just so beautifully and done. And yeah, I can't get enough of Mob. Mob was a great watch for sure. I'm gonna get to you in a minute, but let's do Ronin Warriors first. Ronin Warriors is actually one of the first anime I watched, probably the first anime I watched of all time. My uncle gave me a VHS of episodes that he recorded, and I just remember being so enthralled by that show. Like it was so good. It was so good. I want to stress that it doesn't mean that where I put these doesn't mean that they're better than the shows below them. It just means as far as my watchability or my watch time and how I felt about it as watching it, it takes it where it is. So I'm gonna put it in the B tier, back a B tier, but I'm putting it in there because I don't forget. I'll never forget how I felt watching Ronin Warriors. It was that good for me. Promise Neverland. Let me know if you would like me to do a best seasons tier list because I will tell you that The Promised Neverland season 1 is one of the greatest single seasons of anime of all time. Suspense, build up, shock, uh plot twists. That season had everything. It had everything. And when you concluded season 1, I know everyone was just like, I can't wait to see season 2. Like it was that serious, you know? And then you got season 2 and it was not good at all. Like season 2 of Promise Neverland is one of the, if not the biggest disappointments of all time. It's that bad. Um, so I'm gonna even it should be goated. Promise Neverland should be goated, and it should be higher A tier. I can't. I had it in A tier, bro. Before I started this, I gotta go middle of B tier because of that second season. Like it really should. It should have been an A tier, easy, maybe S. But that was one of the worst. One of the worst. One of the worst season twos of all time for any show. Let's see. Do I have? Oh, okay, I do. Psychopaths. Psychopaths is a great show. It's one of those ones where I think I've watched only the first two seasons. I haven't watched any of the movies yet. A lot of people don't like the second season because they think it's kind of like a rehash of the first or is a poor version of the first. Um, as for me, I didn't have a problem with the second season. I do think that the first is better. They get rid of one of the main characters in the second. That kind of drags it down. Um, but I still enjoyed both seasons high. So for that reason, it's gonna be an A tier. I'm gonna have it above probably Death Parade and Michiko and Hatchin. Ahead of Kill la Kill, yes, got to, but not ahead of 91 Days or Black Lagoon. Rurouni Kenshin, 2023 version. Um, I had to separate the two versions, mainly because the new version did take some different liberties. and hasn't really gotten into the second arc yet. So I don't want to kind of combine the two together. I had a good job. I had a good time watching it. It was very interesting. Some of the things that they did change, the animation did great. Fight scenes look great. Um, but there's just something missing, and I will get to that in a minute. But for now, I'm gonna put the 2023 reboot in C tier. Yes, C tier. Probably right in between Kami I Kill and Kakaishi. Yeah. Samurai Champloo, goaded. It is goaded. Uh, Cowboy Bebop's spiritual successor, made by Watanabe. So you already know how that's gonna go. It is a shame that it didn't get a movie like Cowboy Bebop. I feel like it should have. I feel like, though I don't necessarily think the animation has held up as much as other anime. And if you look at who the studio is, it makes sense. I believe they went bankrupt as well, or they solved. I think that the story it told, and the action and the fight scenes are so well done, and the music. Oh my gosh, hip hop, Nujabes, R.I.P. You know, it's just a perfect. It's a mix that you don't think would be perfect, but it turns out to be perfect. Yeah, so it's goated to me for sure. It holds a special part in my anime journey. Space Dandy, again, another Watanabe creation. Um, eh, Great animation. I'll say that. Good music. I even like the message or the big, you know, what to do at the end of the show that that you've been following for the whole time. I love that. I just I can't. It's not as iconic as Cowboy Bebop or Samurai Champloo to me. Um, some good episodes, but it's not up there in that same realm. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier again behind Rurouni Kenshin, but ahead of Kakaishi. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for that. Soul Eater, good show. It's another one I need to finish. Um, it was going good when I watched it. Again, I can't remember why I stopped. I think again I was watching and then I was watching on cable and it just stopped or something. Again, another one that has to be at C tier. I think it's better than I think it's up here though. I like Soul Eater. Soul Eater was really good. Windbreaker's new. Uh, let's do Tokyo Revengers first because Tokyo Revengers is and Windbreaker are kind of similar in the sense that it's about some high school delinquents who basically like fighting, right? Tokyo Revengers, I watched the first two seasons. The first season I thought was very well done. I'm not usually into time travel anime or time travel elements, period, because they can get really messy. I think they did a pretty decent job of making it make sense for the most part. I know people didn't like the Christmas showdown arc or whatever. I thought it was okay. I did think that the ending kind of tied it back together and kind of like, oh, yo, there's some stuff like season three is going to lead to like some fun stuff too. I have not watched season three yet. That I thought that they were going to dub it. So I have been watching it dubbed for a while. So if I don't get a dub by June or end of June, I probably just gonna, watch the sub or whatever so I can finish the show. Um, I had it at B tier and I'm gonna keep it at B tier. I'm gonna put it probably behind My Hero Academia. Mainly because I haven't finished it, but I thought it was good. I think Mikey and Draken are great characters. I think Takamichi is the worst main character of all time. I hate Takamichi. That crying is annoying. I'm sorry. It's just, like Deku cries, but he got hands. Gohan cries, but he got hands. Takamichi cries, but he got zero hands, bro. That bro cannot fight. He just can't. He's just oh, he got heart, and that's cool. But in the fighting anime, I like my people that have hands. So yeah. With that said, Windbreaker is a little bit different. I think it's the main character. He's not crying. He's about that action, and everybody around him is about that action. I'm only 5 episodes in, so I can't put it anywhere higher than C tier. But I will say that it's definitely above Ninja Kamui for right now. And I anticipate that by the time I'm done with Windbreaker, it will be a solid B, maybe even an A tier. It's that good right now. Let's move Sailor Moon. Let's go ahead and get Sailor Moon into C tier. Um, Sailor Moon's iconic. Come on, man. One of the best, you know, representation for women as far as like anime characters. Really into like this time period may have kind of aged it a little bit, but even so, they have newer versions of it, and it's still popular today. So I can't, Sailor Moon is iconic. Let's when it comes to Mount Rushmore, she should be on there. I don't see how you can't put her on there. Even if it's not Mount Rushmore, top 10 most iconic character of all time, she's top 10. Sailor Moon is definitely up there. Yu-Gi-Oh! C tier. Uh, Probably, I'll have it above these two. Actually, right here. Yep, right around here. Behind Sailor Moon, in between Yacht and Ninja Kamui. I wasn't into it at first. Then I watched it. Then I had the video game. It's a great show. It's a not a great show, but it's a great show as a kid. So can't really say too much. Let's see. Let's do Trigun. Now, I did start Trigun Stampede. I didn't put it on this list mainly because I do want to kind of finish that one before making any type of judgment. Trigun. Trigun's interesting because Trigun was so often talked about in my anime circles that I thought that Vash Stampede was the guy. Like he was like a super duper badass, which he is, but he's not the badass that you would think. I thought Wolfwood was more of a badass than Vash, you know what I'm saying? The story they tell is great though. I think that watching Vash's mental psyche get broken the way it does during the show is probably the highlight of the show. And just watching him come back from that is really dope. I feel comfortable putting it into a low B tier. I don't mind that. I'm not mad at that at all. Tokyo Ghoul, it's another one of those things where season one, absolutely fantastic. Then everything that happens after that, you're like, nope, didn't want that. Um, so with that said, I have to put that in the back of C tier. Probably, hmm, I'm gonna put it ahead of Rurouni Kenshin first. Mainly because I did kind of still enjoy the season two, but you could tell that it was just off the rails. Closing in, let's try to do these. Yashahime. Ah man, Yashahime. I gotta put in the D tier. It's sad. It's ahead of, and you know what though? It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Is it D tier though? I wish that one of the things I don't like is that the actual two characters, like it's three characters, you know, that they focus on. And the two that I want them to focus on is more about the other one. And there's nothing inherently wrong about that. It's just that it just felt like it should have been more about Inuyasha's daughter instead of just Shomuru's daughter. Which again, nothing wrong with that. It just feels off. And it's just not enough Inuyasha in here. Like it's a lot more Sesshomaru than Inuyasha, and that's okay. But and I watch it and it drags. Like one thing about Inuyasha series is that it's very monster of the week. Um, so you're not always getting like story beats in every episode. It's always like a is this gonna push the narrative forward or is this just a random one off? And Yashahime was very much a lot of random one offs, and it got a I stopped watching because of that. It didn't really progress the story as much as I'd like it to. Great moments. I think that final battle in the first season was like dope. But yeah, just I can't get jiggy with it. Serial Experiments Lane. I'm going to put it into high C. Now the reason it's going here is because I have to rewatch this show because they were trying to tell me some shit that I wasn't ready for at the time that I watched it. Because I think everything that's happening in Serial Experiments Lane is happening today in the world. I think we're too connected to the internet and too connected to our phones and too connected to our computers. And that's exactly what they were trying to warn me for, and I wasn't ready for it at the time. So I need to go back and watch this. And what it does so well is that it doesn't undercut things with music. Like the tense and quiet moments where it's just like the characters talking and no music is some of the most disturbing things that you'll watch. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier, but I feel like if I watch it again, it could move up in B or it might drop lower in C, but that's as far as it's gonna go. Odd Taxi is A. Odd Taxi is A. I think Odd Taxi is ahead of Psychopaths. It's one of those ones where I had zero expectations going in. I thought that I wasn't going to enjoy the anthropomorphic animals, um, you know, that element of it, but it just does. It's great storytelling. And once you get to the end, you're like, wow, what a journey. What a great show. Um, yeah. Yeah, I'll Taxi is pretty good, man. I can't you gotta watch that. You gotta watch that for yourself. This is one of the ones where I suggest it. Like if someone asks me what show should I watch, I would say watch this if you want to kind of get a sense of the quirky shit of anime, but also just good storytelling. I think Odd Taxi you should definitely put up there for sure. Okay. Let me do two more. Let me do two of these for. Let's do Prison School first. Prison School is the raunchiest anime I've ever watched. I think it's more raunchy than Food Wars. I did not think that I would enjoy it as much as I did. I'm gonna be honest, it's high piece here, bro. It might be A tier. You know what? I'm putting Prison School in A tier, bro. I still think about this anime. I bought the full box set. I bought the full series because I did not think I was gonna have this so much fun watching this anime. I laughed so often during this show. It's that good, and I did not anticipate that. I shouldn't have liked this show as much as I did, and I love that show. I think this is insane. I would have never had it above some of the things that I've had, but I really, really enjoyed this. I don't know. I don't. That's the best way I can explain it. I promise. Parasite, the Maxim. I think that's also an A tier. I think that's it combines action, uh, horror, uh, growth, and character development very well. Um, it's one of those ones where it kind of checks off a bunch of boxes for people who may want to try something a little bit different, but also want to kind of keep it not grounded, but like um not too out there, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's a good choice for that. It's once you get past the concept, it's it's a parasite, like it's taking over your body, but like the overarching story is dope to watch over time, and it's a good show. I think it's one of the ones you gotta you know take the time to go out and watch. Last two are Rurouni Kenshin 90s version. again, here's what I did with Rurouni Kenshin, right? I did Rurouni Kenshin, but also the Samurai X OVAs. When you combine those two, if you've never watched the Samurai X OVAs, which is Betrayal and Trust, and even the third one, I forgot what the actual name is called. It might be called, I don't even know what it's called, but I have it's over there. Um, we combine that with the actual 90s anime series and you watch the Kyoto arc on in that series. If you cut it off at the Kyoto arc, it's some of the best anime ever. I know that the the creator is a scumbag, man. The whole, situation that he's in, I don't want to give it too much light, but it's bad. Um, but this is a great anime. If you combine those two, I gotta put it in the goated. I'm sorry, I gotta put it there, and I have to put it. I'm gonna put it ahead of everything except for Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. I had to. Like, there's just I got to. Like, Jujutsu Kaisen will probably jump it in a few years. If I rewatch Mob, I could see it jumping it, but right now, this is yeah, that's solid. And then finally, it's Yu Yu Hakusho. If you've ever watched anything I've ever done, if you've seen me type, if you see me like mention it, you will know that I think Yu Yu Hakusho, pound for pound, is the greatest shonen of all time because I believe it's 112 episodes and it never overstays its welcome. It comes in, it's not filler. There's no such thing as filler in Yu Yu Hakusho. Everything is connected. You get four arcs. Could you say that the last arc could have been done better? Three King Saga? Absolutely. I will never argue with anybody that would say it should have been done better. That's fine. But you're also getting the Dark Tournament arc, which is the greatest tournament arc of all time. Argue with someone else. It ain't gonna be me. And you get the Chat the Black Saga, which I didn't realize people like are iffy about, but I think it's one of the best arcs of all time. It's my favorite arc personally. I think Yusuke is one of the best main characters of all time. I think great cast of side characters with with Kuwabara, Hiei, and Kurama. I think that the combat system is great. I think it's straight to fisticuffs. I think everything about this show is what I want out of a shonen. That's why I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen is the spiritual successor to Yu Yu Hakusho. With that said, I feel I've always been debating is Yu Yu Hakusho better than Samurai Champloo as my second favorite anime of all time? I think I'm gonna make that decision today, man. I think I'm gonna put it ahead of it today. I am rewatching Samurai Champloo for reasons that will become evident after a while. Um, but yeah, I think this is it. I think this is the list, bro. So, man, this is crazy. Ah, F tier, Gangsta, First Angel, DN Angel being the worst thing I've ever watched in my life. D tier, Dead Man Wonderland, Yashahime, and Keenan. C tier is the most filled of all of them. Serious Experiment Lanes, Bleach, Inuyasha, Ergo Proxy, Soul Eater, IGPX, Baka the Grappler, circa 2000s, Elfen Lied, Samurai 7, Kami got killed, sorry, Tokyo Ghoul, the Rurouni Kenshin reboot, sorry, 2023, Space Dandy, Kakaishi, Food Wars, Pokemon, Windbreaker, Sailor Moon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Ninja Kamui, Durara, and Gunslinger Girl. B tier is Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball Z, Hell's Paradise, Promised Neverland, Naruto, My Hero Academia, Tokyo Revengers, Angel Beats, Ronin Warriors, Trigun, and A tier is Black Lagoon, 91 Days, Odd Taxi, Psycho-Pass, Kill la Kill, Death Parade, Michiko and Hatchin, Prison School, Parasite, and my goated is Cowboy Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho, Samurai Champloo, Rurouni Kenshin / Samurai X, Jujutsu Kaisen, Mob Psycho, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and Death Notes. Um, that's it. I feel semi confident in what I did. I can definitely hear the arguments for other stuff. I get it. Listen, my list, you know, I would say argue with me, but I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm just gonna be like, that's cool. I think you're entitled to your opinion. Um, but I do want to hear what you have to say, with what you would have rearranged some different things. And instead of telling me that I'm nuts and crazy for putting certain stuff where it is, tell me why the anime that you're talking about should be higher or lower. I'll say that. I'm willing to listen. I like to hear people talk, man. Uh, be sure to subscribe or follow me on wherever you're at right now. TikTok, hit me a follow button. You know what I'm saying? Um, YouTube, Clues Creative, hit the subscribe button. On Twitter, I'm a stick around 54. Instagram, I'm gonna stick around 54. That's STIK around 54. You can also buy some books from me, man. BraxtonBooks.com. Yeah, podcasts. Like I said, I have the Clueless Vino podcast. I have the Two Tall Boys podcast, and I have the Star Chase Essential podcast. All those things you can find either on my social media or my link tree, or just look around, man, you know. But most importantly, man, it is anime. If you have not seen one of these animes on this list, go watch it, man. And more importantly, if there's an anime that you think I should watch, trust me, I know about One Piece. Trust me, I know about Demon Slayer. I definitely want to get into Demon Slayer for sure. Um, I know Berserk is probably somewhere. Some like I you should have watched that. I know it's classic 90s. I want to be able to watch it front to back. The real one, not that CGI bullshit they try to pull. But just any anime you think I should watch, man, let me know. Oh, Attack on Titan. Trust me, if I put Attack on Titan on here and where I want to put it, y'all have been pissed at me. So let's just leave that alone. Either way, send me some suggestions. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me, checking it out. Peace out, man. Enjoy your night.